Oh boy, it's freezing outside. It's that time of year. Snow has already hit the tops of our mountains here out in Utah. If you're in anywhere in America, most likely you're gonna run into some freezing temperatures. And if you have an MDC, you need to get your trailer winterized. And this is like pretty much this weekend. Once you see this video, if you haven't already winterized within the next week or two, you could be in big trouble. So today, we're gonna walk you through a winterizing video. Generally, this is a private video that we would share only for our roamers, which are customers that have purchased trailers from us, but we wanted to send this out to the entire MDC community. So today, I'm gonna go through winterizing your trailer from start to finish and show you how to do that. At the very end, stay tuned. If you actually sign up, there's gonna be a form below. Put your name, your information, sign up to our email list. Then we will give you a hack that could potentially cut an hour off of this winterization process. So stay tuned for that at the very end. But let's get into the main winterizing video right now. Let's head on inside, show you how to do this. Okay, let's get out of the cold. We got a trailer inside. I'm gonna show you the trailer inside. These are some of the things you're gonna need. First, you're gonna need a custom, I call this the pigtail winterizing tube. This is a custom thing that you're gonna have to build. So you're gonna either have to run to the hardware store. I've actually had these built at Napa AutoZone when I was in a bind. I was somewhere cold and I needed to winterize my trailer before coming home. But generally, I go down to Home Depot or Ace Hardware to get this built. I'll show you and kind of give you a better understanding on how to build this later on in the video. The other thing you're gonna need is a towel, because once you start unhooking the water heater and everything, it's gonna make a little bit of a mess underneath the bench. So you wanna wipe that up. You're gonna need this guy right here, and this is gonna be to drain your water tanks underneath the trailer. You're gonna want a handy dandy little Leatherman. Usually this is the guy you need right here. And this is to unclip some little pins on the plumbing to disconnect the plumbing. And then lastly, you'll want some antifreeze. This is non-toxic winterizing antifreeze that you can buy at most hardware stores. I think even Walmart has this. In the fall, everyone's selling this stuff. This is designed to go into plumbing. Talk more about this later. Generally, you're gonna need 2. If it's your very first time doing it, I would get 3 gallons just to be safe. In case you make some mistakes, you can keep on going at it. And then, since I'm inside, I want a bucket so I can, you know, dump my antifreeze into here if I need to with a spigot or something, or my outside shower, I'll use this bucket. So that's all the tools you need. So the very first thing we're gonna jump into is we gotta get the water out of the trailer, which means the freshwater tank, the gray tank. Hopefully you've already dumped your sewage. You should be dumping your cassette or your toilet, your sewage after every single trip. So make sure that's emptied and drained out. And then you're gonna want to drain your water tanks. So let's do that right now. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna come down here, and you can see right here we have a freshwater tank, and you're just gonna wanna grab this valve and you're gonna just wanna loosen it up and keep on doing that until you unplug that and get the water coming down. You're gonna wanna kinda get to the side. I'm like right on it. This thing is gonna shoot me and I'm gonna get drenched. So usually I move off to the side and do it there. This thing is empty, so I'm not gonna unplug it all the way. But don't forget, the MDC trailers generally have 2 water tanks. So you're gonna wanna drain both of these water tanks, and then also make sure your gray tank is drained. Generally, you're gonna do that when you drain your sewage or your cassette. You'll also wanna drain your gray tank. So your gray tank and your black tanks should already be empty, but just in case your water tanks aren't, this is the first step you'll do, is drain your water tank in its entirety. Now, after your water tanks are completely drained out, we're gonna now head over to your water heater and make sure that gets all drained. So one of the very first steps that you're gonna have to do when it comes to winterizing the trailer is you're gonna wanna take the pressure out of the water heater, and then you're gonna wanna drain the water out of the water heater. And then after that, we'll go inside and we'll start with bypassing the water heater and then hooking up the pump so that we can get antifreeze through the system. So the first step, I'm inside the shop. I don't think this unit has water in it, but just in case, I got my bucket here. So we're gonna just open this valve, lift this up a little bit. You can see these lock in right there. You're gonna drop this down, and then This right here is a pressure release valve. It's super important that you pull this first before you let this lever down. Otherwise there will be high pressure in there and it will shoot out and somebody could get hurt. So you're gonna pull this up and that will release the pressure. Like I mentioned, there's no water in this, so nothing is happening. If there was water, it would actually start shooting some water out of here just for a few seconds, just to get the pressure down. Once it drops down a little bit, it will stop. But this will drain out, and it's okay. Everything here is waterproof, so it doesn't matter if some water pours all over this. And then there's a clip right here. You're gonna lift this clip up and pull this guy down, and then you will see there's some water in it. Then you're gonna pull that out. This does have the winterizing kit on it. Generally, you don't need that unless you're in some extreme temperatures, but you're gonna wanna disconnect that. And once you disconnect that, you can tuck that away, get it away from this because this is hot. And then you can close this back up. And then we're going to make sure you put that pressure release valve back and then shut this up. We can go store this inside somewhere. And then we're gonna go inside. We're gonna lift up the booth seat and we're gonna get down to the backside of the water heater. And this is, quite frankly, one of the hardest parts about winterizing the trailer if you're doing it by yourself. If you don't wanna do this, you can take it into a service shop and they can do it for you. You can bring it to us, we can do it for you. Or we do a modification here that makes this 10 times easier. So let's get inside and show you where the water heater is. Okay, so we are in an MDC 16 family. So depending on your unit, the water heater might be placed somewhere else. Sometimes it's under the bed area, sometimes it's under the booth. So it just depends on where it is on your trailer. Go on the outside, you can look at the water heater and kind of get an idea of where it is. This one is underneath this bunk right here. So I'm gonna pull this up and I'm gonna get it out of the way. So here it is. We're gonna get into talking about this water heater, how it's set up, and what we're gonna try to do is disconnect it, bypass it, and then put a pigtail onto the water pump to pull antifreeze through your water system. So let's get into this right now.
Here's an angle of the water system. So right here, these are our fills up here. They go down into the tank. Right here, with this corrugated plastic, that is pulling from your tanks and going through the filter and then out into these cold lines. Now, this blue line coming in, that's your city water, so it goes just directly into the cold line, passes the pump because it's pressurized. That cold water, after it goes through the pump, it goes to two places. It goes direct into your cold water lines and also into the Truma AquaGo. Now we'll go into the Truma AquaGo, it'll heat it up and then come out of these lines right here. And this white pipe that I'm following kind of, that's your hot water. So what we need to do is bypass the water heater. So what we'll need to do is disconnect the inlet so that way there's no water going in to the Truma AquaGo. And then with this hot line, we still want to winterize the hot lines, but we do not want to put antifreeze into the Truma AquaGo. So we're going to disconnect right here, this hot water line, and connect it in to this cold water line. So we're going to flip this cold water line around and create a loop. So that way the cold water is going directly into this hot water line instead of going into the Truma AquaGo. So that's what we're going to do right now. I just wanted to kind of hop in and explain this because we didn't explain it super well in the video. But that's what we're doing, is we're taking this cold water inlet right here that's going into the Truma and flipping it and connecting it directly into this hot water line and creating a loop so we can winterize both the hot water lines and the cold water lines. So let's get into it.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna actually disconnect this plumbing piece right here, and there's little red clips. You can see it maybe better right here on this one. See, you can see this red clip. It's like a U clip. It has a little space right there. So essentially what you do is you get some pliers and you're gonna push them in right there and it's gonna pop out. You're not doing this line. You're gonna be doing this one. This is the inlet of the water heater. So you can see down here, it says cold water inlet. So you're gonna wanna grab this one. And you're gonna wanna pop off these little clips. They sometimes can be a pain in the butt to get off, but you can do it. There we go. So you can see I got that clip off. And now these actually have a compression deal right here. So you can see now there's some space where that was. And then you pull the compression back and that just pops out. Just nice and simple. So you can see how there's that space right there. So once you clip that off, you push this white piece in and then you pull this portion out. So you push in, pull out. So now we're gonna do the same thing over here on this one. Whew, that one came off super easy. So you can see, pulled off the clip right there. So I just pulled out the pin right there. And these are a little bit different. You actually have to unscrew them a little bit. And so once you loosen it, it actually compresses it. Instead of you pulling it with yourself, you just screw it, unscrew it, and then that pops right out. So moving back here, if you recall, we pulled this out of the water, the inlet of the water drain. And so what we've done is we've now disconnected this portion, and this is actually the hot water that goes throughout the entire trailer. And we've disconnected that. And now we're gonna turn this around and we're gonna connect these in to each other like this. And that's how you bypass your MDC hot water heater. If it's your very first time, it's gonna be a little bit difficult. Once you learn how to do it, it's not so hard. The worst part is just getting those clips off. Once you get those clips off, you just compress the black tubing. The white ones, you just unscrew a little bit, which creates that compression. And then once you pop those out and you just connect it in, essentially what you're doing is you're making a loop so the water doesn't go into the water heater and out of the water heater, because you don't want to run antifreeze through your water heater, because that will void the warranty on the Truma. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna disconnect your main water pump, the inlet, and we're gonna get a pigtail that will fit that. And then we'll be able to put that into the antifreeze bottle, and then you can pump the antifreeze through your water system and get all your spigots filled with antifreeze so you don't have any freezing issues. If you don't want to do this, you can bring your trailer to us and we can winterize it for you, or we can install the easy winterizing valves and systems so you don't have to unhook and hook things. It's just a turn of a valve.
Hey, this is the editor again. As you can see here, this is the easy winterizing mod we were talking about. We have a couple videos on this, but what we did is actually just installed a few valves. So all you would have to do is just turn a few knobs and the pigtail is already there, and then you're ready to winterize. So you skip the hassle of having to disconnect these pipes and make the little pigtail that we're going to talk about in this next part. So if that's something you're interested in, you can look and kind of see if you can figure it out for yourself, or just give us a call and we can install that for you.
Okay, so now we need to get the pump unhooked and we need to create a pigtail. You're gonna have to run over to the hardware store to do this. Essentially what you're trying to create is this. Obviously you can do it with any type of tubing you can find, but the most important thing is you're gonna want a 3/4 inch thread that will thread onto this pump. So let me give you a little trick that you can do by going to the lumber store. So you're gonna come over here, this is the pump. Now you gotta understand this is the inlet. So you're gonna just unscrew this, and this is all just hand tight stuff. So it's pretty easy. So you're gonna unscrew this, you're gonna get out of the way. And then what I would do personally, especially since I've never done this, if I was in your situation, I would unscrew this entire filter. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna grab this filter and I'm gonna take this to Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever you wanna go. They have not sponsored this video. And I'm gonna go in and say, hey, I wanna create essentially it's a pigtail that will thread into this guy right here, because I'm trying to winterize my trailer. And while you're at Home Depot, you can also pick up your antifreeze right here that we have. As you can see, it says RV and marine antifreeze. So it will say this is made for RVs, boats, houses. This is not the same antifreeze that you or antifreeze that you put into your vehicle. This is designed for plumbing. It's non-toxic. It's designed for campers and RVs and plumbing for residential houses. So somebody recently told me that this is actually one of the #1 ingredients in it is aspartame. I don't know if that's true, but that's kind of scary. So fact check that. But like I said, it's non-toxic. So what you're gonna wanna do is go get this pigtail made. And when you get back to your camper with your brand new pigtail, and you can just come right here and go directly to the water pump like this. And once you get it nice and tight, nice and snug, what you're gonna do is you're gonna open up your bottle of antifreeze and take this pigtail and I usually just poke a hole in it, and you're gonna drop that down as deep as you can. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn on the water pump, and you're gonna pump the antifreeze out of this. It's gonna go in through the pump, and it's gonna start going, it's gonna pressurize immediately almost, especially if your water lines are empty or you've used all the water in your trailer. It's gonna go and pressurize. It might take a second. It might actually take that entire bottle. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to each and every one of your spigots and run it until you see ink coming through the spigot. So let's try doing that really quick right now. Okay, so I'm coming over to the kitchen area. First thing you gotta do is turn on the water pump. So let's turn that water pump on, and you can look right there. See how it's sucking antifreeze down? You can see it pulling it down. And I would just come over here and make sure it's pushed deep down into that tank. And now it stopped, which is good, because what that means is it's pressurized the lines. Now, and that doesn't mean antifreeze has gone through all your lines. So you're gonna come in here and you're gonna turn on you're gonna turn on the sink. This is very, very important that you do both hot and cold water. So let's go right here, and we're gonna turn this on. I'm gonna actually plug it so you can see it's kind of clear. No, it's already pink. Do you see that? How fast that was? And now we're gonna turn it to hot, and it's clear for a second. Now it's pink again. So that's kind of confuses people, because it might look pink for a second, but that's just because there's some pink in the tube from the cold water. So you want to turn it on for a second, make sure the cold in the hot lines gets cleared out, and it turns back into pink. And then generally there are some different types of P-traps in most trailers. So what I do is I run it just a little bit longer, just to get water down into that P-trap so it doesn't freeze the P-trap as well. Now coming over here, we have a shower, and you're gonna wanna do the exact same thing. You're gonna come right here and watch right here. We're gonna go cold first. It's clear, then it goes pink, right? Then you go over to hot, and it should go pink and then clear again, and then pink again. So there you have it. Now you can shake it off a little bit. Sometimes this stuff drips and makes a mess, so I try to shake it out as much as possible before hanging it back up. Otherwise it's going to be dripping all over in the shower. So now you have your shower winterized, you have your sink winterized. If you have a sink on the inside of the trailer, like a kitchen sink, you're going to want to do the same thing, hot and cold. And it's a little bit different on some sinks, because some of them have separate nozzles, some of them have half all the way to full, so you go half to get the cold and then full to get the hot. Now the toilet, it's a little tricky, because we don't have the water system is not connected into the main water pump. This toilet has its own separate water tank. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna drain that, and you're gonna fill up your toilet, separate water tank on your toilet, with maybe a half a gallon to a gallon of antifreeze. And then you're gonna run this until you see antifreeze coming through the toilet as well. So you know what, if you have a trailer, you have a cassette, you already know how to fill that up. So essentially what you're gonna wanna do is make sure it's drained, all the water, and then fill it up with antifreeze to then run the antifreeze through it. It's separate, so do not forget to do this. Lots of people will do your sinks, but they forget the toilet, and then you have a ruined toilet. It's gonna cost you, I don't even know how much these toilets are, probably $1,000, maybe hundreds to $1,000, because you're gonna destroy the whole pump. Depends on how much damage you do. You might have to replace the whole cassette or just some components, but don't forget to do that. So let's head on outside, and I'll show you the things that you need to do outside as well. It depends on the model year of your trailer. some of the MDCs, the plumbing is hooked up to the kitchen on the outside. And so you're just gonna pull it open and you'll just turn on the hot and cold spigot. If you have one of the older models, you're gonna actually have to hook up the water system. So you're gonna open this up. I'm not gonna completely winterize this trailer. I'm just gonna show you a little bit. Lock it out of the way. So there's your spigot. You're gonna open up your drawers and you're gonna pull out your hot and cold line. You're gonna plug them into there, and you're essentially, and make sure you pull the gray tank or the gray drain out. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna run the cold and the hot until it's pink coming out of here and pours out on the ground. So you wanna make sure you hit this so you don't have any issues with this freezing. Because you got to understand, the reason why we do antifreeze, because their water can always get stuck in here. Some people want to blow out the lines. Blowing doesn't always clear out the water inside here. So some of your sills, your gaskets inside the spigots can actually freeze during the winter. But with the antifreeze, I've never seen that happen. So let's go. There's another spot we need to hit as well. Coming up to the front of the MDC, these units have a spigot. So you're going to turn that on. And is it pink yet? Yep. There we go. Got that nice and cleaned out with the antifreeze. Okay, then you're gonna wanna come out, turn on your outside shower. That looks pink to me. And then we do cold and as well. Run it for a second, is that pink? Yep. So there you have that. So I am out by the toilet. I thought I might as well show you how to do this since we were talking about it. This is the trickiest part some people don't know about, is this is how you fill up your water. That's not the tricky part. But if you have this trailer, you already know how to put water into it. You put it right there. This is where you're gonna put the antifreeze too. But you might be asking, well, how do I get the water out of the tank? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab this guy and see it kind of pops up there into there and kind of fits right in there. Well, you put it in there and then this hugs the bottom right there and it plugs in right like that. Nice. So what you're gonna do is pull that out, drop this down, and there's no water in this toilet. If there was, immediately water would be draining out of here. So this is like your low point drain where you drain the water out of this. Once it's completely out of water, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull this up, you're gonna put it back into its little tube, and then you're gonna grab the antifreeze, and you're gonna need, anywhere from a half a gallon to a gallon of antifreeze to get it down there. And once you see the antifreeze fill up just to about right there or so, you'll know you have enough antifreeze in there. And then what you'll do is you'll go in and press the button on the toilet to flush the toilet. Once you see pink coming completely into the bowl, you'll know that it's been properly winterized. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. Go down to the bottom and look for that secret hack that will save you maybe an hour of doing all this. But if you're interested in somebody doing this for you, you can take it to most dealerships. They should be able to winterize your trailer pretty easily. It's not such a hard thing to do. If it's your very first time, it might be a little hard for you. Here at ROA, we do have that easy winterizing modification that we do. Go down below, click the link. There's a video on how that thing looks. So if you wanted to try to do it yourself, you could. But we also do those at all of our experience centers, which you want to check out these units, see these units. We now have an ROA Off-Road in Colorado Springs, in Mesa, Arizona, just outside of Greenville, South Carolina, and just south of Salt Lake City in Utah. So if you want to come visit us, see these things in person, if you don't have one of these, if you do have one, I hope this was helpful for you. If you own a trailer and you bought it from us, you can reach out to our tech support line and we can give you a little bit more guidance. If you didn't buy the trailer from us, please reach out to a local dealer near you, or you can bring it in person to us. But we only do technical support over the phone for people that purchase from us. But thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful, and have a wonderful day.